Yo, what's good, guys? I want to come in with a quick unboxing and review of this PS4 Controller Dawn 2.0 Flash Trigger Stop Remap kit. Damn, that is a lot to say. So first things first, I want to do a quick unboxing with it. So one of the things that I've already pulled out and I wanted to show you guys is that they do have a guide. It is double-sided and pretty extensive. So this might take a bit of work, and it does say that it does require a soldering iron. So with that being said, you don't need it if you don't care about reworking your center button or your L and R3. These two. But if you're looking to redo those, definitely pick up the soldering kit, and I'm going to attempt to do that because I'm kind of an all or nothing guy. So without further ado, let's get into the unboxing. So a couple things that you'll notice is that they give you a new backplate for it. This is the backplate, and I kind of touched this already. It's pretty cool because it's actually kind of like it's a little soft, so I feel like it's going to give me a little more grip on the controller. And then they kind of give you a bunch of extra buttons, so you get to choose your buttons. There's like some circular ones in there. I don't know how well you can see this, and then some triangular ones in there. So depending on what you prefer, and a few extra little parts and stuff as well for that. And then they give you some more. They give you some additional hardware. And that's what you're going to put your remapping kit in. A little paste. And then they also give you a screwdriver, some extra screws, and a way to pry apart your thing. So that's kind of nice. That's really awesome. And I don't know, some weird warranty card. Whatever. But yeah, so that's everything that's in the kit. It looks pretty cool. It definitely looks like it's going to take a little bit of work. But I do like the back plate, and then we're going to be putting it on my controller, which is a blue. So I think the blue with the black back is going to look pretty nice. You can see. So I think it'd be a nice little upgrade on that. Before we get into the actual doing of it, I'm going to attempt to film how I film it and time-lapse it, but depending on how hard it is, it might not work. So we'll see. But at the end, we'll definitely do an overview of my initial thoughts. The reason I wanted to do this is I've been playing on PC for the last little while with mouse and keyboard, and I'm doing a Apex controller series. So I'm going to try controller going from bronze to diamond I haven't touched controller in about 4 or 5 years for FPS. So if you guys want to see that, make sure you stay tuned on my future videos because we will be doing more of that type of stuff. So without further ado, let's get to the building. All right. We are back. We have completed the controller build. I do think it looks pretty nice. Honestly, there's a couple little things, like it's not super tight on the back. If you can see that a little bit there, there's a tiny gap. But honestly, when you're playing, you're not really going to notice that. So you're going to notice that I did not film the build. Why not? Well, the build took about 2 hours to do. It was a little more complex, and I had to fight with it a little bit. And a lot of that came due to the soldering and how I don't know how to quite solder yet. But we'll talk a little more about that later. Right now, I want to talk about the features. So the controller comes with 2 programmable buttons and a short stop here on both. So you'll notice is on this trigger without the short stop, it goes all the way down to here. And with the short stop, it stops right there. So it's a little bit better for trigger actuation. Oh my goodness. So those are kind of like the features, as well as it has, in order to program it, you can just touch here. And I believe it's about 5 seconds, and you'll see a blue light once that happens. Hopefully you guys can see the blue light. Let me see if I can get this better. You have to turn on the controller first. Controller is on, and come on, blue light. There it is. You see the blue light? In order to reprogram, you say you want to do your trigger, you'd hold your trigger and the button at the same time. Then it blinks. Now it's been reset, and turn it off. You just hold it again for another few seconds, and it's off. And now every time you press this button, you're now shooting your trigger. Pretty easy, not too bad. So that part I do like. That's pretty convenient. So the downsides to this, honestly, totally come down to the build. The build was a little confusing. It took quite a bit of work, and if you wanted to solder it and you don't know how to solder, I would highly recommend you to stay away from it. If you do know how to solder, go crazy. And the reason I say to stay away from it if you don't, I had to take this controller apart about 3 or 4 times because my soldering welds weren't tight enough. They had too much space, which then inhibited the one. There's a little tab in here, and if it doesn't lie flat, like perfectly flat and in line with it, some of your buttons won't work. So like the first time I had a couple, my buttons didn't work, then my trigger wouldn't work. And at first I thought I fucked it up. I'd over soldered it, but it turned out that you just have to create enough space so that all the things can lie flat and then be tightly squished together. Now, if you're not in it to be able to reprogram this button and your R3 and your L3, I don't know if I did those in the correct order because everything's reversed for me. If you don't care about that, awesome. It won't be so much of a pain in the effort. But for me, I want to do everything. So if you're a novice at this, I only recommend this if you're going to use it just for the programmable buttons and the quick stops. If you're an intermediate and you've done soldering even just a couple times, go ahead, do the full build, get all the buttons working. But it did take about a couple hours. So would I recommend this for everyone? Probably not, honestly. I think, yeah, it's cheaper, but you also have to buy a soldering kit if you don't own one. So if you're a novice, it's going to cost you, say $80 instead of $200. I'm Canadian, by the way, if you're not. So my prices are different. And it's $200 for a pro controller, so you might want to just get the pro controller because you can also fuck up your controller. But if you know what you're doing a little bit and you've watched it a few times and you feel confident, 100%, like the buttons feel great. They got a nice little tactile click, like, so I'm happy with the product now that's finished and it looks good. I like the feel of the controller. It's just getting to the end zone, so it's really going to depend where you're at. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have done this as well, let me know if you had less trouble than me. Maybe it's just me, people want to know in the comments. And hopefully I see you guys in my new controller series on Apex, and see you guys soon.